Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm up a little early this morning. Going to get this live over with earlier than usual. I had some stuff on my mind. Kind of wanted to go live, and this live is sort of about me, but kind of not about me. But I kind of wanted to go live early this morning. Allow me to reintroduce myself. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I'd first like to start out by giving a shout out to Front Yard Barbecue. Percy Neal. I know some of you on Facebook have heard of Percy Neal or know Percy Neal personally. I haven't gotten a chance to actually meet Percy yet, but he seems like a very solid guy. I call him Bishop. He's a man of God and he's a man of faith. And accordance to his post and the things that he puts out there as far as things of God, I believe that he believes and lives what he says he does. So I haven't met him yet personally. We haven't sat down and supped or chatted haven't gotten a chance to talk or any of those things, but seems like a pretty solid guy. And from what I see on social media regarding his barbecue, man, it looks like it's pretty darn good. So at some point, I am going out and I am going to snatch me some of that barbecue. Well, anyway, again, and I call him Bishop. I call him Bishop P. Because again, he's a guy that he seemed to be a pretty stand-up guy. And again, that's Front Yard Barbecue. And the address for Front Yard Barbecue is 1126 West 26th Street, Riviera Beach, Florida, 33404. Again, that's 1126 West 26th Street, Riviera Beach, Florida, 33404. And if you'd like to call in advance and put in an order, the number is 561-932-2506. Again, that's 561-932-2506. And that's Front Yard Barbecue. I believe that he's going to be cooking this week, if I'm not mistaken. I had a conversation with him, and I think that he told me that he'd be cooking this week. So the barbecue looks great, man. And again, I'm going very soon to get some of that barbecue. Now, on to the subject matter today. Allow me to reintroduce myself. Many people, how can I say it? Okay, so I know a lot of people. I'm originally from West Palm Beach, Florida. I reside now. I live in Delray Beach, Florida. And so I live in Delray Beach, Florida, but I'm originally from West Palm Beach. Now, I said that to say this. I know a lot of people from West Palm Beach from all different walks of life. I say it all the time. I wasn't a high school. I wasn't a high school graduate, but I rubbed elbows with a lot of bright students during my time in school. I had some AP classes. I was on the high school debate team when I was in high school. So I know a lot of the kids that went on to become lawyers, this, that, and the other. And the reason I say allow me to reintroduce myself, because the years that I spent out in the world and out in the wilderness and in the streets, there are a lot of folk that's all that they know me by. That's all that when they equate that to me, that being who I am. And the reality of it is that if that's what you think, then you don't really know me. And there are some people that do know me, but if you think that who you saw out in the streets is who Jonathan is, and I'm not blaming you, because for some people that is all that they saw. So of course that they think that, that's who I am. That's only one facet of who Jonathan is. And I brought that up. The reason I brought that up is because I went live the other day, and I talked about the message, not the messenger. And today, that's why I'm kind of touching on that a little bit. Because again, if you think that that's all, if you really think that that's who Jonathan is, then you don't really know Jonathan. And that's just the reality of it. And I said that to say this is because I had someone who I consider a good friend of mine who's known me for years, but they've known the street Jonathan for years. And, those individuals, well, that particular individual, thinks that that's who Jonathan is. So, Jonathan, why are you bringing up this topic? Because the funny thing is that, and again, I'm not going to say any names, that's not important. The subject matter is more so than who the person is. But, probably a year ago, I've watched this person, and this person do pretty well for themselves and is pretty successful. But I've watched this person work their tails off, in the hot sun. I mean, they have their own business, and I'm watching them, and I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching this person, and I'm very proud of this individual, but as I'm watching this person, and I'm thinking to myself, the older we get, the more difficult it's going to be to continue at that pace of working out in the elements and putting your body through that strenuous, that type of, that active lifestyle, for a very long time. It's going to be difficult. And I called this individual, and I said to this person, I said, listen, I said, I've watched you, man, and I watched you work your tail off in the hot sun, every day, man. And I said that, we get older, and why don't you secure your future? You're probably not going to be able to go at that pace for the rest of your life. And at some point, what are you going to do to supplement that income? When your body breaks down and you're not able to go out there in the hot sun and work the way you do. And I suggested to this person, I said, listen, I said, why don't you go to your financial institution, get maybe a financial advisor, and look into opening up a simple IRA. And I suggested this to this person, and because of who this person thinks that I am, this person told me, all right, cool, click, and hung up. Now, I said to myself, I said, if I was some white dude in a Brooks Brothers suit, or some black guy that, graduated from college and had all of this, that, and the other, and I looked a certain part, or they knew me from, being some intellect or whatever the case may be, this person may have looked at me giving them that suggestion different. But because it came from me, the person hung up, click. And I said to myself, wow, shame on them. Shame on them. Now, so here are my credentials. I'm not a college graduate, didn't even graduate from high school. But what people fail to get And what people don't understand is I was raised by a genius. I was raised by a super intelligent woman. From the time I was a baby to the time that she passed, she was schooling me. See, a lot of people started school and went on to school and were very successful in school. And again, I wasn't one of those kids. You know, by the time we went to school, man, I was literally, okay, it's boring. We had in my household, when I was growing up, we had in our household almost every single book that the school system had in our house. And I had been through those books or been schooled by this intelligent woman my entire life. By the time I got to school, I sat in my classes and it was boring. So I'd be the class clown. Let me distract everybody else. That's what I did. And some people that are on Facebook were in some classes with me and can attest to that. Yeah, I distracted everybody. I joked around. But let me tell you something. When I grew up a few houses down, and I don't know if any of you, some of you may know this family, but they were the Wolforks. And the kids were Lisa, Stephanie, and Sybil. And I was one of their better friends. I was at these people's house regularly. And their mom was also an educator. And a lot of people, a lot of kids, when they were out playing and they were having fun and doing this, that, and the other, I was able to go out and have fun and do these things and do this, that, and the other. And all of this stuff was totally voluntarily. I mean, my mom didn't force me. Miss Woolfolk didn't force us. We actually literally enjoyed reading, writing, arithmetic. See, we were doing these things from a very young age. I was born in education. So when you talk about a high school dropout, or when you talk about a person with some experience, you're not just talking to, or you're not just looking at the typical high school dropout. See, a lot of people just know Tamron Jonathan or Sapadilla Jonathan. So it doesn't resonate. It doesn't click in their minds that that's Miss Wilburn's son. No, that's not just Tamron Jonathan. But I went so hard. See, I played the role so well, right? I played the role so well until, people bought that. And a lot of people think in their minds that that's just Jonathan, man. That's just street Jonathan. He can't tell me nothing. He's an idiot. He's dumb, just like all these other guys out here in the street. That's how a lot of people looked at Jonathan. But little do they know is that I came up in that. When we were kids, man, we were kids. I can remember as a child. See, because I speak a lot of Ebonics, I write Ebonically, people see me post things on Facebook. But let me tell you something. I have the capabilities and ability to sit down in the room with some folk that might speak on certain terms and certain levels and have a gist of what the conversation or what they're discussing. Now, I might not know in detail. There's some things I might not know about the lingo in regards to whatever they might be talking about. Because see, in different areas of life and in different professions, right? If you've gone to school for those things, that there's a certain lingo that those people have when they're conversating. Now, I might not understand the lingo, but the gist of the conversation, I'm not lost. I'm not lost because I can remember growing up that in my mom's household, and she wasn't, it wasn't a way, she didn't make it as though it was a punishment. It was just the fact that she was such an educator and I was her child. We were her children. I can solely remember like it was yesterday. We'd be walking around the house. And if we said ain't, or if we used certain terms grammatically, my mom corrected us. My mom corrected us. You know, she taught us from a very young age how to speak the correct English, right? Now, some people think correct English is white. It's like, no. Yes, it's Eurocentric, but in accordance to our dialect as Americans and our speaking, yes, we do have something that's called the correct English. I'm not going to get into black and white thing or whether it's European. I'm not going to do that. But what I'm saying is that there is a system. And as people, we tend to have a better life when we're able to adjust and adapt to that system and perform in that system. So from a very young age, my mom taught us how to speak the correct. If we said anything that was grammatically incorrect, my mom corrected us. Not mean, not from an angry or a mean standpoint. Never. But it was sweet, and it was just out of the love of educating. She didn't say, "Oh, you shouldn't say that. You better say it like this." No. She just said, "Baby, the word isn't ain't. Say is not or isn't." You know, from a very young age. I see a good friend of mine out there, man. Solid brother, man. Love this brother too. Demetrius McGrady, man. That's my boy. I also see one of my partners, man. When we were growing up, we were the first guys in our neighborhood to have motorcycles. You know, Hannibal Gibson. You know, we rode our motorcycles from I think I got my first motorcycle when I was 12 years old. And he was one of the other guys. It was in our age group. There were guys before us that, of course, that had bikes or whatever. But in our age group, you know, we were the first. I think it was Hannibal, God rest his soul, Christopher Stevens, and myself. And we ride our motorcycle. So big ups to Hannibal, man. How you doing? You know, but my mom. So my mom, yeah. I was raised by a genius. So if you take a person, an idiot like myself, just to be raised up under that, I mean, my cognate retination isn't to the degree that hers was, or very intelligent people are, but just being in that close proximity with an individual with that level of understanding, you know, how could you not know some things? How could you not know some things? I was raised by a genius. And here it is, you know, I call this individual and this individual click. Now, credentials. So, she calls it, her Facebook name is Grand Smith Edwards, I believe. We work together, you know, at one of the same companies. Brilliant chick, brilliant young lady. I mean, phenomenal. She's a beast. I've worked with her personally. Very smart. And we work for this company called 401k Exchange. Tough company. Tough job. You know, required a lot of computer skills. I'm not a computer guy at all. Not even, that's not my deal. I'm not a technology guy. And I can remember when I got the job and going through, at the time we had like 2 weeks training. So they were, instilling all this information in us in 2 weeks. And I can remember in that training class, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a guy on this page on Facebook. His name's Robert Brown. And Robert Brown was my training manager. And I can remember going into that, my first day of training, I said to myself, man, there's no way in hell. Nah, I'm not going to be able to do this, man. And Robert told me, it was Robert talk. Man, listen, Jonathan, man, forget that job, man. I'm telling you, bro. Trust me. You see them people over there, man, trust me, you got this. You can do this. And I was thinking to myself like, nah, I don't know about this, man. I might have bit off more than I can chew. But I can remember in that training class, it started coming. And I was like, oh, shoot. Oh, crap. And listen, here's the funny thing, right? There were people that went to school for business administration, finance degrees, that interviewed and that went through training. And listen, those people had a background in finances and couldn't hack it. Couldn't do it. Couldn't get it. Just could not get it. Now, what we do on a daily basis at this job is that we would talk to Fortune 500 companies, because what it was we had Series 7 brokers, people that had their broker license. And if you know anything about finances, you know that the Series 7 license is the highest license that you can get when it comes to, being a financial advisor, being a broker. That's the license that you want to have. Very difficult license to get, very difficult. But anyway, so we would represent, we had a network of brokers that we worked for, and we would get those individuals set up to have appointments to go to different companies to review their 401k plans. Now, in saying that, there was a lot of information we had to have, a lot of things we had to know. Man, listen, I don't remember I don't remember some of the things in detail when it comes to 401k plans, but listen, I knew all the titles. I knew all the positions. I knew who did what. I knew, I knew the administrator of the plan, and I knew all of these terms and these things, back when I was doing that line of work, and I learned a lot about finances and the stock market and mutual funds. I learned a lot about a lot of that stuff, and we talked to billionaires. Listen, so with this job, we have who we call the gatekeeper. Normally, that's the secretary or the front desk person. That's who you call the gatekeeper. Those are the people that when you're trying to talk to certain people at certain companies, they are going to intercept, they are going to interrupt you when you call that company. These are the people that we're dealing with, right? The gatekeeper. Now, when you're good, you learn how to get past the gatekeeper. No, I need to speak to your boss. I need to speak to the person that owns the company. I need to speak to the CFO, the CEO. I need to speak to one of those people or the owner of the company. I can remember phone calls that I was talking to the New York Yankees organization. I talked to the people. I can remember at this job, I was talking to billionaires. Little old Jonathan from the Westwood expansion that was probably some months prior in the streets. Now I'm at this job and I'm talking to billionaires. I ain't talking about Joe Blow around the corner or around the block. I'm talking about successful billionaires. Because What we understood was at this job, you have to speak to the fiduciary. Complicated word for the person in charge of the money. And the person that signs off on the checks and that's in charge of the money is the person that owns the company. So we would send these brokers out to review these plans, to review these companies' 401k plan. Because I don't know if any of you guys you remember, but 2008, the market crashed and a lot of people lost a lot of money. And that was one of my selling points when I talked to these people, because the reality of it is that companies don't have to offer a 401k plan. And if you understand anything about 401k plans, you know that they were established in the 1970s, right? And the reason 401k plans came about was that a lot of people were working for many a year. And once they retired, they just could not live off of their retirement money. A lot of people were struggling financially once they retired. So 1970s, they come up with that here comes the creation of the 401k plan that companies, a lot of companies still offer the 401k plan. So we would send these brokers out to review the plans because, the plans should be reviewed semi-annually or annually, in some cases quarterly. And it was emphasized even more. It was emphasized even more because of 2008. So by the time I'm working at this company, that was my selling point. You do not want what happened in 2008 to happen again, right? And the market crash, and you have these employees that have their money invested in this 401k plans, and these mutual funds aren't performing in accordance to their best interests as far as what their returns are. So you might want to have that plan reviewed. You might want to have, and see, a lot of people, a lot of companies that had financial advisors or brokers, that were brokers for their 401k plan. Some of those brokers, see, because they get a commission off of each 401k plan, off of each, plan that they come and they're a part of creating, the broker gets a certain percentage. And some of those brokers, once they get their cut, once they get their percentage, they're off in Tahiti, man, with a nice drink, man. And because you think about it, if a broker has, let's say 4 or 5 different companies that they're advising, they're making a pretty nice, pretty nice commission, So a lot of people, so those brokers aren't reviewing those plans, those 401k plans like they should, and they're not advising people, to look into, the plan or seeing how the mutual funds are doing, and advising these companies like they should. So we would have a nationwide list of advisors that we would represent, and we'd get them the business to go in and review the plan. But again, it wasn't just that simple, because at the time, 401k, we had 8 different screens of questionnaires when we were talking to these billionaires. So first of all, I got to get this person that's a billionaire on the phone. Got to get him on the phone. Second of all, I have to know what I'm talking about and pique his interest to stay on the phone, to take him through 8 screens of questionnaires. And so I'm talking to this individual and putting this information in as I'm talking to this individual. So I can't talk to this individual as though I'm filling all of these things out, although I am filling all these pages out. So, but I have to be smooth enough to talk to this person and fill this information out at the same time, keep them on the phone. And again, my selling point was, remember, I think it was an 8% return, back in 2008, I'm not sure, I don't remember, on mutual funds. But whatever the case may be, the market crashed and a lot of people lost a lot of money. So I'd go in and I'd say, hey, listen, man, because again, it's a 401k plan is more of a luxury. It's not something that companies have to offer. It just looks better if you were to go interview for one company and one company says that, hey, man, we offer a 401k, and another company says that they don't, right? A lot of people, a lot of prospects would probably want to go to the company that does offer the 401k plan. Now, so we talk to these people. And again, a lot of people lost a lot of money in 2008. So we talk to these people and I tell them, I say, hey, man, listen, you know, for the betterment of your employees, you know, for these people that you hire, you know, wouldn't you want to know that in the best interest of your employees, that these people have the best possible, that they're positioned to be successful when they retire, that they have the best possible plan? Because we would, you know, my boss, the owner of our company, you know, we would have to wake up in the morning because back in the day, CNN, they used to have the stock market. They used to have the flash of the Dow Jones and all this shit going on on TV in the mornings. So you know, my boss was like, listen, I highly suggest that you guys study that, you know, in working this job, you guys study that. Right. So anyway, so we would talk to these people and we would let them know that in the best interest of your employees, you might want to make sure that you have a broker that's coming in and that's reviewing that plan, at least, you know, if not quarterly, at least semi-annually or annually, you know, and the job was it was a serious job. You know, we're dealing with a lot of money. We're dealing with billionaires. You know, yeah, this guy, Jonathan, see, that's what a lot of the people in the streets, they don't know that side of Jonathan. So you don't know Jonathan like you think that you know Jonathan. So when I called this person, I wasn't calling this person off some dude just trying to be smart or I think I'm smart, because I'm not some guy that thinks I'm smart. You know, people have told my mom and I've had friends that say, no, and the reason I know that I'm not smart, because I know some smart people. I know some smart people, man. And I'm not one of those people. I just happen to be raised by a genius. I just happen to be raised by a smart woman. Now, so that's just one job. You know, another job that I worked, that was a serious job. You know, it was a third party for the Better Business Bureau. And we were getting accredited. We were getting companies. We were getting people that own businesses. Some businesses were small mom and pops. You know, some businesses were big deals, big conglomerates. And what we would do, we were getting accreditations. We were getting the people companies accredited for the Better Business Bureau because logo, because it looks better if you're a company. If I'm a consumer or whatever the case may be, you know, I can go in and see that you're Better Business Bureau accredited, and you'd have some evaluations and some things written about your company. And it's a good thing to have if you own a business, to have that BBB stamp. Now, I only mention that to say this. When I worked for the BBB, man, and accreditation, man, let me tell you something. Me, as an employee, as a representative, I would have companies' business accounts. I had a folder that this was my company. This was my business. You know, I'd have a folder. These were my accounts. I would have not their personal credit card, you know, that might have, you know, an enormous amount of credit or money on it or whatever the case may be. No, I had their business. I had I had the credit card information that's attached to their business in my file. These were my accounts. I would bring these accounts home. I would have these accounts with me every day, everywhere I go, at my house. So I had accounts that, like, if I were really some insane dude, man, listen, man, I could have, oh my God. Some of these people, they'd never know, because this is coming out of their business account. I mean, you know, you couldn't go crazy, but you know, you could really do some things, you know, because depending upon how many accounts I had in my folder, But these were my accounts, not the person sitting next to me, not my boss, not anything. No, these were my accounts. These were the people that I was getting accredited, and I would have all of their business information, their business address. I'd have, their address, social. I'd have all of this information. So you had to be really trusted to work for this company. See, a lot of people in the streets, they don't know that side. All they know is the fool. So they get it twisted. So like when I made that phone call to my homeboy and I was like, yo, why don't you look into getting a simple IRA, man? So that once you retire, because see, an IRA is this. Okay, so you work for a company that offers you a 401k plan, right? An IRA is like a 401k plan for individuals. So this, and I'm trying to explain this to this guy, because if you get a financial advisor, right, and you set up a simple IRA, so you'd be individually have these mutual funds that your money's invested in, that you're working your behind off in this hot sun. Person hung up in my face. Let me get back with you. Click. I never heard back from him. I'm looking at him working his behind off, and here it is. I got some good advice for you, bro. I don't want nothing from you. You my boy. I'm not charging you for this advice. I'm not asking you for 1 red cent. You're a person that I respect, I look up to, I've known you for years, and I see that you're being pretty successful, but you're working your behind off in this hot behind sun on a daily basis, and you are not going to be able to probably do that when you're in your 70s and 80s, maybe even 60s. So, I call you because I want to help you. Bro, you might want to look into getting you a simple IRA, because it's like a 401k plan for individuals. That way, if your body starts breaking down, you have something to fall back on. That person, because it wasn't Jonathan, Miss Wilburn's son, calling him. It wasn't Jonathan that some of them white folks know that went to school with, that know that side of Jonathan. No, it was Johnny Boy from Tamron that used to smoke crack calling him. Who this dude? This dude a damn fool. This dude, I make thousands and thousands of dollars, man. Who is he to be calling me? I know this how he felt. He calling me for, man, talking about IRA. This dude don't know what the hell he talking about, man. I've been living life, making money for years, and here it is. This dude, I remember him from the streets, living a certain kind of life. He got to be joking, man. That's why I look at Facebook and I see people respect certain people and send out invitations to do this for certain people. And I look at it and I ain't mad. I just look at it and I say to myself, wow, wow. See, even biblically it talks about it. It says that, when the rich, the wealthy, have a lot of friends. Yeah. See, we take on that same mentality as people in everyday life. If people think you got something, or if they think you got, a little bit of money, they think you got a nice piece of change, you can just about tell them anything. See, I'm so glad that I ain't cut like that. I was raised with a lot of things. I was raised around a decent amount of money, hard-working money, mind you. Thank God. Thank God. can't impress me with money. I ain't one of them dudes gonna run behind you. I'm not even starstruck. I don't even worship stars. Because the reality of it is that what I do know is that those people are just like me. They ain't no better, no worse than I am. See, when I meet a person that does not have to remove their pants, sit on a toilet and take a dump, and they can just go take a shit and get up off the toilet and they butt wipe itself, I'm impressed. That's some immortal shit. Until I meet that individual, until I meet that person, I'm not impressed. Now, I respect success. I cheer people on that are successful. I love to see people win. But what I'm saying to you is this. I am not one of those people that's going to be on Facebook, that's going to see an individual and I think he got something and I'm going to be worried about whether he's going to send me an invite or not, because I don't chase people. I'm good over here. I roll solo, and I roll solo for a reason. I fellowship with certain people. I congregate with certain people, and I kick it with certain people. But as far as my personal, private life, I'm a solo dude. I'm not asking to be invited or to be a part of. But I sit back and I kind of chuckle. Because I watch these people. They tagged people who they think are the people. I just laugh. Because a lot of people, they only know J-Dog, Johnny Boy. They don't know Jonathan William Harris. Forgot to tell you guys, I got my coffee. I got my coffee this morning. I laugh. Some of these people, they only know Jonathan that was running up and down the street, going to these people's stores, stealing their stuff, coming out, selling it for a little or nothing to hustle and to make a piece of change. These people don't know. Yeah, this Jonathan have been around some white establishments amongst those people at their companies, successful at their companies. More so than some of my other colored counterparts. Yeah. They don't know that Jonathan. There's some women that have dated me that know that Jonathan. But the majority of you dudes on Facebook that know me from the streets, y'all don't know Jonathan. Y'all only know a part or a certain, but y'all don't know Jonathan. Y'all don't know me, man. You don't. You don't. That's why when I made that phone call and I was trying to advise my homeboy and place him in a position that he wouldn't have to kill himself for the rest of his life, he hung up. Because it was me. And I still watch him to this day, spending his money doing this, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know if he took my advice, because see, sometimes people will take your suggestion or your advice and not tell you. And they'd go on and they'd be like, like it was their idea. They don't want to give you the credit because it's you who told them. So whether, or not he hung up in my face or not, I hope that he took a look at it, But I'm just saying that some of us are so caught up on, who we think people are. I'm so glad that because of how I was raised and because of my upbringing, I can talk to people, whether their ass is in the street, whether they're on the bus bench, and just sitting down in the first few minutes, man. Oh, this is a sharp dude. I don't get caught up into that dude sleeping on the bus and he just woke up and he got boogers in his eyes and he trying to wake up and see and look around and that. I don't get caught up in all that foolishness. When I sit down with the person, I have an idea in the first few minutes, regardless of what his personal life is, regardless of what he's doing. I say, oh, let me pick up on some. Let me pick up on what he's throwing down. Let me pick up on what he's putting down. Joke sharp, sharp, sharp. So allow me to reintroduce myself. Because some of you know, but some of you don't. I don't make $1 million. I don't make a bunch of money. I don't. But what I can tell you is that I've seen some money, and I've made some really good checks. I probably have made some checks, and I ain't talking about scams. Because I know a lot of scam companies, man. And when I go interview, and if I think it's a scam, I'm out of here. I ain't got time for that. I could have made, I could have made, 10 grand a month. I know some people that were making 10 grand a month, like it was nothing. See, I have the mental capacity to sit down and sell you sugar when it's salt. I don't move like that because of how I was raised. I was raised by a woman with morals and principles. Can't do it. I refuse to do it. You got to have some legitimacy, something, man. And see, I'm not here to tell you that I'm some holy Roman or some saint, man, because I don't want you for me to mistakenly, or me at some point, I could get caught up. Who knows? And before you know it, I'm in a situation where I'm making some money that probably shouldn't be, or isn't, all the I's aren't dotted and all the T's crossed. I don't know. But what I'm here to tell you thus far, that's been my motto when it's come to working for companies. If you're a shade tree company, because my motto always is that, I have a parent that's elderly, and I'd be pissed off if somebody came and ripped her off. And if I felt like that about my parent, how much more do I feel about your parent or about anyone else out there that's worked their butts off all of their lives to obtain and maintain a certain lifestyle, and for somebody to come and try to hoodwink and bamboozle them out of, their life savings or their money. I personally, I've always tried to stay away from that type of company, but I'm just saying, man, I'm just saying, I'm not sitting here telling you that, I'm some genius or I'm some smart guy. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that, a little bit of that fell off on me. The fact that I was raised by a smart woman. I was raised by a woman that was basically a genius. See, had my mom been, because you got to think about it. My mom died at 8 and 9 years old. Right. So we're talking about her going to school in the 40s. Probably graduating college in the 50s. So, and she's a woman. On top of that, she's a black woman. So you got to think, for her to go through the process of school at that time, the people that had her level of intellect now easily have doctorate degrees. Easily. If you're a black person, or if you're a person now that's attending college and you have the level of intelligence that some of those black folk had back in the day when they were just getting associates and bachelor degrees and teaching and this, that, and the other, right? If a lot of those people were coming up in this generation, they'd have doctorate degrees easy. So even for my mom to have a master's degree, right? It was a great accomplishment. Because like I said, not only was she a woman, but she was a black woman. It's very difficult. Even in states like Georgia and Alabama and some of those southern states, and some of those, country rural areas, a lot of black folk were required to work to help the family. They couldn't even attend school, let alone go to college. Some of those folk had to go out in the field and work daily. We ain't got time for you to be talking about shucking and jiving, talking about going to school. This serious over here. We got a chicken farm. We got cows. We got pigs. We got all these things going on, right? And this is how you eat. No, we need you to be a part of the family business, buddy. You need to get out there in that sun, out there in that field. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here real quick with this live. I wasn't, I don't know why, but I said, allow me to reintroduce myself, because a lot of people, and that's why I said it's about me, but it's kind of like not about me, because again, it's the message, not the messenger. Again, because there's some of you out there that are going to come across some people that you thought were heroin junkies that have gotten their life together, crackheads that have gotten their life together, Molly heads that have gotten their life together, and you're going to judge them based on their history and their past, and you're going to miss a blessing. You are going to miss a blessing because you're looking at who you think they are. And you're basing who they are based off what they did. And I say it all the time, life ain't about what you did, it's about what you're doing. I can't live off yesterday's grits and eggs. I done already took a dump, and that's out, that's gone. Life is not about what you did, it's about what you're doing. I just don't want you guys to get caught up into missing the mark. Don't be my homeboy that when a person that's telling you or that's sharing some free information with you, free. If nothing else, it's free. At least have the respect enough, the decency enough to listen to it. It's free. Oh, that's Johnny Boy, man. Johnny Boy don't know what the hell he talking about, man. Hang up. Click. Sad, man. Sad. I'm sitting back and a lot of people on Facebook, I'm sitting back and I'm looking at your diction and I'm looking at your grammar and I'm looking at how and I'm saying to myself, like, really? See, I'm in the business of if I can help you, I'll help you. And hopefully if you can help me, you'd help me. But I have to have an open mind for that to take place. Like, for real. Seriously, for real. I know you guys see a lot of my posts and you see ebonics and you see, you don't see commas and you don't see punctuation marks, and you say to yourself, yeah, I can do all that. It's Facebook. I can do all that. It's Facebook, man. But I tell you what, there's some folk out there. They know. Some white folks out there, they know. Yeah, they know. That's Jonathan Harris, man. Yeah, that dude, yeah. I just don't, that's not my job. I'm not here to be some super intellect or some super intelligent. I don't even care about all of that stuff. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to live life and survive. I'm not trying to be some smart guy. I'm not. That's not my deal. I know some smart people. I know a lot of smart people. Some of us are too afraid to move out of our comfort zone of our surroundings or individuals that are around us. I got a friend of mine. I call him a friend because he is a friend. I respect him to the core. Bobby Cognac, West Palm Beach guy, lives out in Dallas now. Cuts people hair like the DOC, famous people, all kind of stuff. He moved out of his comfort zone, folks. He's surrounded by smart, successful people, folk. Some people appear smart because they always hung around smart people. They always hung out with smart people. See, if you hang around a bunch of dumb folk, guess what? You will never learn. That's why I tell people all the time, I'm not some smart dude. I hung out with a lot of smart people. I took a lot of smart classes. I hung out with a lot of smart people. I was surrounded by a lot of smart people, a lot of people that were very, you know what I mean? Listen, I'm not going to mention her name again, because that's not important. Like, there's a newscaster in Palm Beach County, an anchor woman, well known, been an anchor woman at this certain channel for years. She was one of my classmates. We were rubbing elbows. Yeah. Some of my life. I've gone into, because the funny thing is, I remember one time that because hate doesn't just come from people that are outside of the family dynamic. Sometimes hate comes from people in your family, right? And I knew this individual went behind my back and was like, because they were, they were hating. I'm sorry to say it. I just have to keep it real, right? You know what I mean? Because some of us, yeah, we love our families and we hope that our families are well and they're successful and they prosper. You know what I mean? But I'm here to tell you that in some families, some of your worst enemies are some of the people that's in your family. And this person was sharing with somebody about me being in school and me being on the debate team, and the reason I know where it came from, because the person that I was talking to at this particular time didn't even attend school with me. So I knew where the information came from. And the first thing they said out of their mouth, oh yeah, I heard you were on the debate team for a month, whatever. No, listen, I was in that class. Our teacher was McCall. We used to call her McCall. That was our instructor, right? I was in that class. Whether I debated topics, my deal was extemporaneous speaking. But what I'm telling you is that whether I ever debated or was successful at it, I was in the class. I was surrounded by it. And this news anchor was on the debate team with me. Yeah. Yeah. I hung out with some smart people, man. I know some smart people. That's the reason I know that I'm not that smart guy. I know some smart people. Very good friend of mine, Marcus Burke, smart guy. That's not, I can hang out with him and listen to him and learn some things and this, that, and the other. Another good friend of mine, Anita Richardson. I grew up with these people. Anita Richardson, we would talk for hours about various topics about life. Grew up talking to these people. The Woolfolk girls. Grew up around these chicks. Grew up around these women. Smart people. Smart people. I was fortunate enough to have a parent that worked her butt off to afford me to have a decent life. And I'm not talking about just material. I'm talking about the people that I was surrounded by growing up. Smart people, smart kids. Grew up with these kids. And my mom was a genius. She was literally a genius. People, see, the reason I know is because she was my mom. People just don't know the significance or to what degree of intelligence this woman had. She was a smart woman, man. I grew up under it. It rubbed off on some of that stuff rubbed off on me. I don't have what she had, of course, because if I did, I'd be a millionaire. If I had what she had, I would have been a millionaire a long time ago. Smart woman. But my mother never made less than a B. Back then we had grades. I don't know how they do it now. My kids are in school and they grade differently now. But my mom never made less than a B. From the time she started school to the end of her college career. Smart woman. But anyway, I wanted to reintroduce myself because, like myself, there are some people out there that you can be blessed by if you remove out of your mind who you think they are and respect who they are. I'm so grateful that I have the ability to talk to anybody. Man, there's some people out there, man, that were contractors, doctors, lawyers that have hit a rough patch in life that you might run and say, this guy is just a drunk bum. You might not be a drunk bum, but you can take some of that same information they got and be successful with it. Maybe they couldn't handle it. Maybe whatever life threw at them was too difficult. I don't know what their deal is. But what I can tell you is that if you're in this thing called life, you can take some of their information and go on and be successful with it. But you can't. You know why? Because you're stuck on who you think they are as opposed to who they are. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I really highly appreciate, man, I'm so grateful and appreciate everybody that tunes in and everybody that supports me. I really appreciate it. I thank you. And until we talk, until we see each other again, I love you guys. Peace.